Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video. This time I'm going to focus on March 2021, question paper 21, the databases section. So there were a lot of kind of different skills that you had to show in this particular part of the exam. So I want to cover that. Also, I know that some of you have already had your practical, or some students have already had their practical exams, and the rest of you will be having yours next week. So good luck with your exam. Yeah, just relax and make sure you've done lots of practice, obviously, and you've covered all the skills that you need for your practical exam. And also you have the theory knowledge as well, because you're going to be asked some questions in your exams that you're going to have to answer. My book is available on Amazon, and the link's in the bio at the top of my channel for those that want to gather that practical knowledge. And you can use that book for your theory exam as well, which is coming up also. So that's that. Last thing is, subscribe to my channel please, and like the video if you find it useful. Alright, let's get started. So first thing it says is, you are now going to prepare some reports for the science department. Make sure all currency values display the same currency symbol, so it doesn't specify a currency, and are set to 2 decimal places, so we must make sure we do that. Then it says, using a suitable database package, import the file m21stores.csv, and these data types in the table here are what we need to use. And it says set the product code as the primary key. So I'm going to go ahead into Access, and I'm going to import. So I've already opened Access, so I'm going to go to external data and new data source from file, and it's a text file. Remember, it's a CSV file, so that's a text file, recognized as a text file. And I'll just go ahead and find the file and open it. So as with all of the videos, you just go through the wizard, press OK, and then this part of the wizard will come up. It shows us that the data is separated by commas, and that's fine, that's what we want. So we press next. We want the first row contains field names, as you can see the names at the top. So we press next, and then we're given the option to set the data types here. If you click on advanced, I'm just going to have a look at my question paper to remind me of what the data types for each one of these are. So product is text, product code is text, supplier code is text, available is numeric integer, the price is currency, should be set to 2 decimal places, minimum stock and reorder number are numeric integer also. So I'm just going to go back to Access and do that now. Okay, so I changed net price to currency. I've left the other numeric values as long integer, because I want to really have a look at what the data is. I should have done that at the start, and that's what I would recommend you do. Have a look at the data before you begin, just so you know what type of numeric values there are. So that will help you to know the data type to put in, but I'm going to leave it as long integer for now. Press OK there, and then we need to set product code, I think it was, as the primary key. So I'm going to choose my own primary key and select product code, and then finish on that and close this window. So now my data is here. So I've got my prices, they're already set to 2 decimal places, which is good. And then I've got available, which is an integer. All 3 of these numeric values, apart from net price, are integers, so they're whole numbers. So that's fine the way it is. So we can leave that as it is. And I'm going to have a look at what I need to do next. So I'm just going to quickly take a screenshot. So I'm going to, if I go back to the Home tab and put this into Design View, it's easy now for me to see the field names, data types, and my primary key as well. I'm going to go to currency and select that, so that the decimal places I can show those as 2 here. down in this tab. And then I'll take my screenshot here and I'll put that into my evidence. So I've gone ahead, put my screenshot into my evidence. I've cropped it as well and made it a little bit bigger so that it's clear, as I always tell you, for the examiner to see. So the next part of the question is step 13, and it says examine and import the file m21 suppliers.csv. So what I've done this time, sorry, before I go on, it says set appropriate data type, so we'll have a look at that. And it says set the supplier code field as the primary key. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and opened up suppliers in Excel so I can have a look at the data before I import it. And I can see there's nothing very kind of exciting here. You've got the supplier code, which I can see is unique, and they've told us to set that as a primary key. We also have the name and address of the supplier. So company name, address 1, address 2, town and postal code will all be text data types. Telephone could be set to long integer. Yeah, and that's really it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to import that, set those data types and primary key, and come back. So I've gone ahead and I've taken a screenshot of my second table showing all the data types and field names in there and the primary key that I've set as well. Now if we just go back to the question paper, now we need to create a columnar data entry form with all the fields in the suppliers table to display one record at a time. And then it says apply 4 features to this form to make the design user friendly. And then we're going to enter this data into our form. So we need to create the form first and then apply the features. So I'm just going to go ahead and create the form, and then we'll come back and look at what features we're going to apply. So let's close this, and we're going to base it on the suppliers table. So I'm going to leave that selected and then go to create form. So here is our basic form, and this has got one entry on it, and now we need to go into to change the design of it as well. So we can have it, we'll now have a look at the different features that we can use. So I'm just going to have a look at my book. This is just an excerpt of my book where there's a section in section 7 which is system design, and it goes through features that make a form clear and easy to use. So it says appropriate spacing for each field, clearly defined input area for each field, information that fills the page, an easy to read font size, easy to follow instructions for completing your screen, no overlapping of items, logical order of questions, questions spaced out and group relevant fields together, not too much text, sensible colour scheme. The other things would be things like navigation buttons, other buttons that are appropriate to improve the ease of using the functions of the form. And you can apply different features to each field to make it more appropriate. So you might use a drop down, radio buttons, etc. on your form. So these are some of the things that you can do. So we'll go back and have a look at our form now. Okay, so I've got my basic form that I've created already. Now we need to do 4 things to this form to make it easier to use. First thing I'm going to do is start at the very top. So this icon here is, you can put in a company logo. Sometimes exam questions give you that. That isn't a logo, so I'm just going to remove it. I'm going to stretch out the heading here, and then I'm going to format the heading in here. So I'm actually going to change this to, I'm going to change the name to suppliers data entry form. Supplier data entry form, and then I'm going to format that just to make it stand out a bit more. I'm going to bold that as well. So all of these changes are basically one feature. So changing the formatting of the heading will be classed as one feature. So supplier data entry form. I'm also going to stretch this out a bit as well. And I'm going to stretch that across so that's centered in the center of that form. The next thing I'm going to do, now we know from the question paper that this form is designed to enter new data into, because if we go back to the question paper, the part of question 14, it says enter this data as a new record. So we've got a new supplier. So we won't change the feature of these actual fields themselves, but we can format them to make them easier to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in a bit more information in the labels just to make it really clear what the user has to do. So I'm going to select all of these field labels by moving my cursor till it becomes this black downward arrow and selecting all of those, and then I'm going to drag this across to make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to put in, I'm just going to update these now, so I click off of that and I'm going to put enter your supplier code here, and I'll do that for all of them. But what I'll do first is I'm going to format this, so I'm going to center it, I don't know actually. I'm going to make it a bit bigger and see, yeah, I think that's a bit clearer. I might need to make it a bit smaller, yeah, because it's gone on to 2 lines now. I've made it bold, so I'll make it 12. And I could always change the font again, so that's a bit clearer. I think that's fine. So I'm going to update all of the formatting here. Let me just go to the home tab. Yeah, so I've got the format painter here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the formatting. If I double click, I can format all of these to the same formatting, but I'm going to change what each of these fields say. So they're going to say enter your company name, address 1, address 2, and so on. So I'll go ahead and I will format those labels now. Okay, so what I've done is I've just formatted the labels. I've changed the text in there. I've put a colon after each instruction. I decided to left align it because when I went to form view, it looked better. When it was center aligned, it just looked messy. So keep going back and forth between form view and design view just to see if your changes actually look good. The other thing I want to do is I want to add some navigation buttons to this form to make it easy for the user to save and add new records. So I'm going to put 2 buttons in. So I'm going to put mine at the bottom. You've got a bit of space on the right hand side here. You could put them there, but I'm just going to open my form footer and put them down here. So this is the button icon and I want them over here. So I'm just going to draw that out. And so when I go into record operations, I've got the option to add a new record, delete, duplicate, save, print. So I'm going to add a new record first. I'll do that one first. And I'm going to put in some text here. I'll just leave it as add record. I think that's fine. And I'm going to call it new record. And finish. So that's that. Now I can adjust the size and the formatting of that as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and add another button to save. And of course I will format this too. So in record operations, save record. There's another one. And I'm going to have that as text as well. Next. And save record. And finish on that as well. So now I've got those 2 buttons. I just need to format them, but I'll just show you in form view what they look like so far. So here they are. Now where I've opened the form footer, that's cut off a little bit of my text, so I need to make some adjustments there. So maybe I'll put these buttons on the right hand side so that I'm not cutting off any of my data that's here. So again, it's trial and error. Okay, so I went ahead and I moved my buttons over to here, and I actually think that is a bit better than putting them below. So I'll just go through the changes I made. So I formatted and made adjustments to the overall layout of the form. So I just did the field widths. I moved over the data entry boxes as well. So I've done that, that's number one. I formatted the heading or the title to make that easier to read. I've also changed, so that's number two, I've changed the labels to make them clearer and more user-friendly. So that's three, and I've added 2 navigation buttons in as well. I also made the data entry part of the form a little bit bigger and bolder as well, just so that stands out. So when people are entering in their data, it's easy for them to see what they've typed in. We need to now type in this data into the correct fields, and then it says take screenshot evidence of the form with the new record displayed and place this in your evidence document. So I'll go ahead, enter the data and take the screenshot. So I've gone ahead and I've put in the data. I've checked it to make sure it's accurate. So please make sure that you put the data in exactly as it's been written in the exam paper. Put the screenshot in here. So let's see what we have to do next. So we've taken our screenshot, and then it says that we need to create a relationship, a one-to-many relationship between the supplier code in suppliers table and supplier code in the stores table. And then we need to put a screenshot showing the relationship between the tables. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So we go to database tools and relationships, and we're going to select both of our tables. So just hold down Control and then add, and we can close this window. So I'll just open these up so you can see all the field names. So we are creating a one-to-many relationship. So a store can have multiple suppliers. So it's going to be a 1 from here to a many to suppliers, and create. And then we're going to take a screenshot here and put that in our evidence document. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've put a screenshot of the relationship in. So now we're on to question 16 or step 16. And it says, using fields from the suppliers table, create labels which show only the records where the company name contains Tawara and are sorted into ascending order of company name. So we need to use wildcards here on the query. So let's go back to our database, and we're going to go to create, and we're going to go to query wizard, and just from the suppliers table. Finish. So I'm just going to go into design view, so I can now, on the company name, it says in the criteria row contains Tawara. So this is where we use our asterisk or the stars, the multiplication symbol, Tawara. And I'm going to put in one either side so that anywhere the word Tawara appears in the company name, it will show up in our query. So let's run this and see what we get. So we've got Tawara here in the company name. And what I want to do, I'm going to save this, and I want to check on the suppliers table just to see that this has actually worked. So you always want to kind of double check. So yeah, so as we can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 records in there, and we have 8 records here, 1 of 8. So it has picked out all of the company names that contain Tawara. So now we're ready to create our report. Okay, so I've created the query, as you know. So now I've gone into create. Make sure you've selected the query that you just did, and then we're going to go to labels. And first thing is you've got all the dimensions here and numbers across. In this question, you've been given specific dimensions. So I'm just going to go to customize, and we can create our own labels in here. So if we go to new, we've got the height and the width. So we know the height, it's in centimeters, is 6.77 centimeters. And you should see the update up here. And the width is 9.90. So those are updated there. And we know the number across is 2. And it should be portrait. I'm going to call these suppliers. Or I'm going to call them approved suppliers actually, because that is the name of the labels. And it's portrait and 2 across. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And that's now in my list. So I can close this and I can now select that label that we've just created. Gives us the option to change the fonts and so on. We can do that later, we'll see how it looks. Now this is important because this is where we're going to lay out what we want to be on our labels or in our labels. So we know we have to have a title first, and then we press enter and it'll go down to the next row. And I just want to double check. So it was company name, address 1 and 2, town, postal code and telephone. So company name next, so we just click on the arrow here, press enter, because they have to each be on a separate line. And town and postal code and telephone. And then at the bottom should be our details. So name, and so it should look like this. And then next we sort by company name, it said, so we'll put that in there. And then finish. And you can see, just ignore the margins for now. So this is it at the moment. I'm going to adjust the headings here. I'm going to move that down slightly as well, so that the approved, that was the message I was getting, that the margins are too close to the top. So I will adjust the margins slightly. So if I close the print preview, and then I'm going to bring the page footer up slightly, and I'm going to bring the page header down just to give a little bit of space at the top. And then I'm going to make my adjustments to the approved suppliers. So that should be bigger. So I'm going to go to home tab, should be center aligned, and it should be bigger than, I'll just make that 10. Should be bigger than the rest. So that's that, and then we can go back and have a look in our print preview, and we can see that margin has moved down nicely now. So we've got that space, and we've got the heading center aligned and all of the details where they need to be, and they're all on one page, 2 across and 4 down. So that's everything there. I'm just going to save that, and I'm going to just check that I've done everything that I need to. Yeah, so now we're going to go ahead, and you would print that out at this point, and then it says we need to produce a tabular report from both tables that contains a new field called order value, which is calculated at runtime. So the calculation will be that this field will calculate the value of net price multiplied by the reorder number, and contains a new field called order now, which is calculated at runtime. This field will calculate whether the number available is less than or equal to the minimum stock. So we've got 2 calculated fields we need to do, and then we've got to select products where the supply code is TES and order now is less than 1. It's -1. So those are the things that we need to do in the query now. So I'll go ahead and start that. So in our database now, we're going to go to create, and we're going to go to query wizard, and we're going to add all the fields from both, not from the query. So that's an easy mistake to make, because we've now got a query in here, but it's the tables that we're using. So we want our stores table and our suppliers table. And then next. And then we can click modify and finish. And so that's now given us all of the fields from both tables. So I'm going to go across to a blank place in my query to create my first calculated field. So the first one will go here, and if I open the builder, I'm just going to go back and check exactly what I had to do. So it's called order value, and it's going to be net price multiplied by reorder number. So I'm not going to worry about the name at the moment. So net price multiplied by order, and I just used the star icon on my keyboard, reorder number. So let me just double check. Yeah, net price multiplied by reorder number. So that's the calculation there. And then I'll just open this so you can see. So we're just going to change expression 1 to the name that we need to put in here. So it's order underscore value. So that's the first one done. And we'll just go across and just check that that's done that. Okay, so the next calculated field is called order now, and that will be checking whether the available field is less than or equal to minimum stock. So I've gone ahead and I've opened my builder again. So it is available. We need to find, here it is, less than. So we use the less than equals to symbol like this to minimum stock. And then press OK. I'm again going to open this up so you can see the whole calculation. And we need to call this order now. And then we can run that as well and check that that one is okay. So we've got our values in here. So obviously these are yes and no values. So we need to pull out all of those that are -1. So I'll just go back into design view. So order now should be -1, and the code, the supplier code, which is here, and let's run that. So we've got supplier code test, there's 30 records, and order now is -1. So that's everything for the query so far. I'm just going to go back to the question paper and have a look. Yeah, so now we're on to doing the report part of this question. So we need to show only the fields company name, product, net price, reorder number, order value, and order now in this order, with the data and labels displayed in full, sort into ascending order of product, and no grouping on this, and it should be landscape. So I'm going to go ahead and save what I've done in the query, close the query, make sure the correct one is selected. So that's my suppliers one, so I need to make sure I've got the correct one, so it should be the stores one. You can rename these queries as well to make it a bit clearer. So I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to open the report wizard and make sure that's selected from the drop down. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add all the fields that need to be added for this particular question. So I've added all the fields that I need to put in, and now I'm going to go here. Now we don't want any grouping, just remove. So it was grouping by the supplier because there's only one supplier. If we just change that to by stores, now all of the fields are on the same level. There's no grouping been putting, so that's fine. And then it's asking again, no. So that's, yeah. and then we need to order by product in ascending order according to the question. And this should be a columnar report. Let me just double check again. Tabular, sorry, it says tabular here. So yeah, make sure that's tabular, and it should be landscape. And then next, and we can just finish there. So we've got all our data. Obviously we need to make some adjustments to this. I need to move around the fields so that they are in the correct order and everything is fully visible. So I'll do that now. I'm just going to go back to the question and check. So I obviously need to make sure the field names are in this order, and then it fits on a single page wide. And then we have some calculations to put in, and we need to put in the title. I might do that now. So it says Tawara University Science Stores is the heading, and your details should be at the bottom left of every page of the report, and we're going to do a calculation as well at the bottom. So I'll go ahead, put the heading in, and I will make the adjustments. So I'll just show you, just remind you of how to make your adjustments. So that's the heading gone in, and I like to do my adjustments in layout view. So I just go into layout view, and then I literally just move around the fields into the correct order. So I sometimes use the arrow keys, depending. Sometimes it's easier to make the changes in design view as well. So you can do that, and then obviously I need to move the detail for that field as well, because company name goes first. So I'll move company name over and then make all the adjustments. I need to then adjust the width of all my columns so that everything fits on a single page wide. So I've gone ahead and I've moved the fields into the correct order, and I've adjusted the column widths so that everything fits on a single page and is fully visible. Let me just double check, scroll down and make sure all of my data is visible. Yeah. So now I need to have a look at the last few things I need to do. So it says calculates the total value of ordered items and positions this number below the order value column. So I'll do that first. So if you select the order value, the actual values themselves, and you go to the design tab, and you've got totals here, and we're just going to use sum, and that should add up those values there. We need to format this, and I'll do that in a sec. And then the other calculation is to calculate the VAT on the net value of the order, net price. And again, I'm going to use sum. I'm going to obviously make some adjustments to that. So that's the value there. So I'm going to go into design view, and here are both, so I can see the calculation here. So this one, if I go inside there, it said 20%. So I need to multiply this by 0.2 there on that one. And I want to format this also. So I'm going to go to design and open the property sheet. And I'll go to format here. You can also change the calculation here. So if you go to property sheet, you can change it there. And we want this to be currency. And then we need to do the same with this one also. So we need to format that to currency. Make sure it's showing as 2 decimal places also. I don't know if I changed the other one. So this one, yes, they're both 2 decimal places. So that's that. Now I need to add the labels in, so I can close the property sheet here, and I need to put labels in next to both of these. So this is the labels box, and I just want to check what my labels are supposed to be. So the total order value should have net value of this order to the left of the number, and then we need to have VAT on this order to the left of the other value. So I'll go ahead and do that. So to the left, so I'll get my label, and I might need to make some adjustments here, so I'm going to paste that in. And then on this side I need to put in another one to the left, and that should be VAT on this order. And I'll paste that in there, and then have a look in layout view and see what these look like. Right, okay, so I just want to move this over a little because it's not directly underneath this column. So there's both the labels. This one I want to move down slightly. Okay, so those are both of those. I then need to put in, so I've put the title in, and then I need to put my details on the bottom left of every page of the report. So that should be in the page footer. So I'm going to go to Home tab, and I'm going to go into Design View, and page footer. So if I open this a little bit more, and I'm going to get another label, and it should be in the left. So I'm going to have to put my details here. And I'm going to move this other box out of the way because we don't actually need that one. And then and I think I can bring that back up again like that. And then I'm going to save what I've done and just go back into layout view and just check that again. So my details are there, my labels are there, my calculations are there too. And I'll just go back to the question. It says we've got to print, or make sure we've entered the details. It says place evidence in your evidence document, screenshots showing the formula used to calculate the net value and the VAT on this order. So we need to go into Design View and show those calculations. So I've gone ahead and I've adjusted my text boxes and my labels so I can see the calculations clearly, and put my screenshot in, cropped it, made it bigger so it's visible, and I'm going to save my evidence now. And then I'm going to go back to the question and see what I have to do next. So it says export the report created in step 17, so that's the one that we just did with the VAT on it, into a PDF format. Save the exported file in your work area, and then it says place in your evidence document a screenshot to show the exported file saved in your work area. Make sure there's evidence of the file type. So I'll go back to my database and I will save what I've done. I can then close this and I'll select my report here and go to external data. And I'm going to export it as a PDF, and I'm going to make sure that it's in my source files folder and publish. So this is it at the moment, and then I need to take a screenshot of my source files folder. Okay, so I've gone into my source files folder and I've changed the view to content so you can see that this is a PDF file, and then I'll take a screenshot of that and I'll put that in my evidence document. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put the screenshot in my evidence and saved that. So I'm going to go back to my question paper. So that's the last bit of the database's question there. It was a bit of a long one, but I think it was necessary because there was lots of kind of little things that don't always come up. So it's useful for you to see some kind of different skills on display. I hope that was useful for you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video if it was useful. Let me know if there's any specific videos you want me to cover, and good luck with your exams next week as well. Yeah, all the very best to you. And I will continue to create content for your theory exam, so be on the lookout for that in the coming week or so. Yeah, all the best.